is, first of all, to entertain you and relax you, of course, but also because I think I might be able to help someone out there that is thinking about going to another country as an exchange student in the au pair program. This is so good. I have to take another sip. Okay, so basically, let's talk about what even is an au pair if you're not aware what it is. So, an au pair is kind of like a live-in nanny. So, it's usually someone from abroad. So, it could be, oftentimes it's Europeans going to the US or Australia, or it could also be, Americans maybe going to Europe. So it's usually just like a cultural exchange. It's not someone from your own country that you grew up in. And you live with a family that has kids, and the age can range from whatever, like babies to teenagers. And you live with that family and you take care of the kids. You have various tasks that you need to do, and as an exchange for your work, you get to live there for free. So you get free room and board, and you also get to usually they buy you food, so you don't have any expenses, and you get paid a little bit of money. So I guess the promise behind it is that you get to travel and you get to live in a different country for free. And the length of it usually depends. Like, I know people who, like, I think it's like a 6-month minimum. So you do it for 6 months to up to 2 years. You can be an au pair for up to 2 years. So, I'm just gonna tell you what my experience was with the company that I went with. So in my case, I went with a company. I kind of don't want to say the name of it, but basically there's different organizations. You could do it without an organization, but it's risky. It's better to do it with one if you're thinking about it. So this one organization that I went with, and there's this whole process before you even get to be an au pair. So it's not like you apply and you can just start. No, you have to. First you apply, then you go to like an event where they kind of inform you, they tell you, and I don't know if you even have to like answer questions. Oh yeah, you do. Okay, so what I did, basically, okay, let's start from the beginning. I was in my last semester of uni, and I've always wanted to go abroad, and I've always wanted to live in a different country, and I didn't actually have the US on my radar. I originally wanted to go to Australia. That was always my big dream. Shout out to anyone from Australia or New Zealand. I would still like to visit. I always wanted to go to Australia, but I saw this was literally fate. Like, I really believe it was fate. I saw this advertisement was their premises, and you can either stay with the same family or you can change the family. So let's say you spend 1 year in one family and you want to stay in the US, but you want to go to a different state or different city or whatever, or you just want to change the family but you want to stay in the city, then you can extend with another family. But I was like, no way I'm doing that. Like, I wasn't even sure if I was gonna do here. But then I decided this is what I want to do. It felt right. It was an intuitive decision. So once I made that decision, I went through with the application process. I don't want to bore you with that too much, but basically you go to like an information thing and they tell you all about like the life there, and they have someone that was previously an au pair that talks to you about their experiences and everything, and then they kind of like interview you. Like you have to have a conversation with them in English, so they test your English level, because your English level can't be too bad because obviously you're going to an English speaking country, right? And what else did they do? I already don't remember. But they give you scores. They do test your ability to like work with the children, because if you're gonna be an au pair, you're gonna work with the children. Which a lot of people underestimate the amount of time that you have to spend with those children. Like, it depends on the host family, and I'll get to that, but you have to spend a lot of time with those children. Like, it's not like a travel vacation. It's not. But they kind of sell it to you in that way. Like, you're gonna travel, you're gonna meet so many people, and you're also gonna work a little bit. Like, that's kind of what my mindset was. Like, I knew I had to work, and I was actually excited for that too. Like, I wanted to work, because up until that point, all I'd ever known was school. I went from school straight to university, and I did like a few internships, and that's it. So I was ready to work, and I didn't want to take on a job yet or do my master's. So I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to kind of like get started with like an actual like work schedule, you know? So after, basically you have to set up a profile. It's kind of like online dating, but for host families. So you set up a profile. You upload pictures of yourself with the kids. Like, you try to make your profile look as appealing as possible for the host families, and the organization follows you. Like, they help you with every step. Like, I have to say, in the application process, the organization that I went with, they were extremely helpful. They would always answer my questions. They would always help me. They were like top notch. Like, I cannot complain about them in that way. And then once you have everything, so you have to give them like a certificate that you're not involved in any crime. Like, this is like a whole process, right? And then you have a profile. So I set up my profile, I don't know when, probably February. Maybe it took like a month or so, and I was still in university writing my bachelor thesis, so I was doing all of that parallel. And then your profile, eventually they set it free. No, not they set it free. How do you say that? Like, it becomes public to the host families. So you can't look through host families. The host families look through the au pairs. So it's not really fair. But it's kind of like online dating, like I said. So the host family can look through all the different potential au pairs. And you can put stuff in your like bio, like accept the request, you get to look at the host family's profile, you get to look at their pictures, and they kind of tell you in detail like what they expect you to do, like what are their expectations. So for me at the time, it was I was already 22, right? So it was important for me to kind of still have, even though I was gonna live with a family, which I had so I was back in the matching process. Obviously a little bit discouraging because, you know, I'd already talked to so many families and I still didn't find a family that I felt like was a match for me. And yet my brother, and I feel like male au pairs, they have a harder time because there's more prejudice. There's like more families that are like, we don't want a male au pair because they're a guy, you know, so there's more like, I don't know, prejudice. And yet he had already found his family and he was gonna, like, halfway on his way out to the US, and he was gonna go in July. So I yeah, was in the matching process again, and then there was two families that really stood out to me, and they were both on the West Coast but in different states. So they were both on the West Coast but in different states, and eventually I just went with my gut instinct and I chose one family in the PNW. I'm not gonna say where or whatever, but in the PNW. And at the beginning it was great. So basically I finished everything I had to finish in Germany, finished my bachelor's, finished everything, and then I kids, but I'm 22 years old. Like, it's just not easy to live with your employer, because usually if you're employed, you have your home and you have your work. And so imagine if I had my own place, then they don't know what I'm doing in my off time. Like, it shouldn't be any of their business, you know. But because I lived with them, they always knew, oh, she's out until 11, she's doing this, she's doing that, you know. Like, obviously they didn't like control me or anything like that. Like, they were really nice, but it's frustrating when you're 22 years old and you're just trying to live your life. Like on one hand, like I said, I get it, because they had to make sure that I'm safe. Like, they were responsible for me and I was responsible for their kids, so of course they want me to be like, you know, have good sleep and whatever. And also another thing that bothered me was I was already vegan at the time and my host family wasn't, and I didn't really strictly go through with it while I was living with my host family, because I don't know, but like I tried my best. Like, I already knew I wanted to be vegan and stuff, and you know, there was always these, like, not always, but there was like these weird comments. For example, my host mom, so they have to buy you the food, right? That's what they sign up for. They sign up for having someone live in their house and they're gonna buy the food. And so I would always eat this like plant yogurt from So Delicious. If you live in the US, maybe you're familiar with it. So Delicious coconut yogurt. So I would always have that, and it comes in this like big tub, and I don't remember how much it was, maybe like $6, $7. And guys, if I'm telling you they were good on money, they were good on money, okay? And she would complain about, not complain, but she would always make a comment like, oh, you're fancy, expensive yogurt. Like, why you have to say something like that, you know? Or, I mean, I kind of get it now, but someone's being loud. I kind of get it now, but I would, you know, not eat super healthy. I would eat vegan, but not healthy, because that was before I got into health and fitness, which is so ironic. Like, if she knew how much healthier and like how much I changed in that way, it'd be funny. But like, I guess she'll never know, because they don't want to talk to me anymore. I'll get into that. But she would be like, oh, you're the unhealthiest vegan I've ever met. And it's like, okay, you know, or I don't know, just making comments that were just not appropriate, and just getting too involved, you know. Like I said, I get it. Like, if I see someone eating super unhealthy, it kind of triggers me now too. But at the same time, just let me be an adult and make my own decisions. Because yeah, even though for the most part they did let me do my thing, I still felt like sometimes, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And then it got really bad. So I was really close with them, right? I'd worked and lived there for 9 months, I think. 9 months, yeah. And then no, that was like 7 months. And then the pandemic hit. And me and my partner, Shane, just started dating. And then my host family was really strict with quarantining. employer. And the payment that you get is not that high, so I understand you get free room and board, like you get to live there, they buy you food or whatever, but like a lot of the time, for example, if I went out to eat, they didn't pay for that. But I only made $4 an hour, guys. A nanny in the US makes, I think, at least $15, $13 an hour. Okay, I get it if you can't give me the full $13 because I live there and they buy the food, but at least like $8, $9, $10. I don't know. I wasn't aware of that because coming from university, I've never worked. So to me, $4 an hour, so I made around $800 a month. And of course, I didn't even have to pay for gas. They paid for the gas with the car because, yeah, we lived so far out. So of course I understand that $800 a month with no expenses is a lot, but for the amount of time that I worked, I still feel like it wasn't justified. Okay, that's just my opinion. Okay, guys, unfortunately, my storage was full, so I don't remember where I left off, but basically pandemic hit. Shane moved in with my host family, and yeah, my work just got a whole lot worse, because whereas before I could take the kids to go to the city, I could take them to go on a play date, sometimes I would stay with them at home, but not that often. Now I had to stay at home with them 24/7. I was not allowed to see any friends, and Shane didn't want to stay there the whole time. Like, he stayed for like 5 or 6 weeks. But yeah, and my host mom kept making comments about me being vegan. Like, for example, one time she was like, you being vegan is excluding, like it's exclusive, like I am excluding them because I'm vegan, which I feel like that was just so rude to say, because is, and to this day I still think it's like, I still can't look at pictures of the kids and stuff because it'll just make me sad, because to this day I still think it's so sad that just because me and the parents didn't get along anymore, just because of that, now I'm not ever, probably never ever gonna see these kids again. Like, never say never, but and that just is, it's just sad. So basically so it was my last work day, and it was also sad because the whole 7 months before the pandemic, there was no problem. Okay, there was no problem. Or at least I didn't think there was a problem, aside from, some of the comments. Like, for example, one time my host mom had wine with her neighbor, and I was there, and I was gonna go out, and they talked, her neighbor was considering also getting an au pair, and that would have been obviously really cool for me because they lived like right down the street, and if there was another au pair, it would have been really nice. And then my host mom told her neighbor, like, oh, what did she say? Oh, if you want an au pair, then if you want someone that is really good with kids, get someone from South America. And if you want someone that can drive really well, get someone from Europe. Like, she was talking about it as if these people were like objects, like they're little, like, I don't know, she was talking about it as if like the au pairs from the different countries were like little figures, and the host families with the money and the power, oh, get someone from Europe, they can drive, get someone from South America, they're gonna be good with like kids because they're from big families. Like, it was almost discriminating the way she talked about it, and I know she didn't mean it like that. Like, she was not someone that was discriminative or anything like that at all, but I don't think she was really like that aware. So I did think at one point that they really cared about me. By the way, guys, sorry, I had to go get the mail. But I was under the impression that they really cared about me, and yeah, she basically told me that she feels like basically all I'm doing this for is for a guy, which is just not, it couldn't be further from the truth. I did this for myself. Yes, I moved in with Shane because I didn't want to go back to Germany, and she was like, yeah, I would have understood if you went back to Germany. No, I wanted to stay in the US. That's the whole reason I'm here. I'm not giving up my experience, but you're not letting me have the experience that I wanted to have. And I've tried to talk to them about it, and she was like, you're gonna regret this. I'm not regretting anything. Like, I do think I could have gone about it, maybe communicated with them sooner how serious it was for me. Maybe I could have told her, like, I still want to grateful for you and we appreciate you. And then she just told me, but like at her like end speech or whatever, she was like, the last few weeks make all the 7 months before that, like, they ruin it. So she was basically telling me, because I did what I had to do for myself the whole time before that, I would dedicate my time and effort into taking care of their kids for basically no money. I would do chores and everything that were not even on my schedule, that I didn't get paid for, like clean the kitchen all the time, you know. That all of that is now no longer of value to her, because I made a decision for my mental health, basically, okay? And that, yeah, showed her true colors. So if you are thinking about doing this, because it's not just my situation, I know a lot of other au pairs. So I know some au pairs that had great families, awesome schedules. Like, one au pair had her own separate apartment and she only had to work 3 times a week. Okay, like, that is just great. I know people that, you know, they still talk to their host family. My brother still talks to his host family. One of my friends from Poland still talks to her host family. Host families that were awesome, amazing, you know. But I also know a lot of examples of host families that were just honestly taking advantage of their au pair, letting them work longer than was allowed. So we were only allowed to work 45 hours a week, and I know some au pairs that worked 55 hours a week or more. And they were too scared to speak up, because you have this like weird, like, oh, but they're letting me live here and they're sacrificed, like, they're letting me live here and they're giving me food, but like, no, you have autonomy. So if you are in that position right now, or if you're thinking about being an au pair, please speak up for yourself, okay? You have more power, you have more autonomy than you think, and just because you're living with these people doesn't mean they get to dictate you around, doesn't mean they get to tell you what to do. You're an adult, you can make your own decisions. Of course, there's a level of compromise and working together that is required, and you are gonna have to sacrifice a little bit of your privacy. That's just how it goes when you live with your employee. But please keep in mind, you have more power to you. So that's my little story time. I don't know if I would recommend being an au pair. I think for some people it can work out, especially if you're not into partying, if you don't care about any of that, and you just, I mean, some host families are really chill with that too, but dude, some of these host families, like, I have some other stories, like another friend of mine where, like, they ruined her whole goodbye party and everything. That's for maybe another story, I don't know. But yeah, I would say it's like 50-50. You can get really lucky, and the thing is, on the Zoom calls and on the profile you can get an idea, but really it's a risk, because you're not gonna know for sure if the host family is a match for you or not. You're not gonna know for sure if it's gonna work out or not by just Zoom calls and some emails. That's just not how that works. So if you feel like something is off, just go into rematch. I could have done that too. I don't know why I didn't consider it. I could have gone into rematch. I guess I was just fed up with the whole loved it. I loved being an au pair. But I wouldn't do it again, first of all. I'm going on to 26. I think you can do it until you're like 27, so I could technically still do it again, but I wouldn't do it again because I just value my independence too much. But if you are gonna do it, it is a good way to get to know another culture. I mean, I met my partner through it. I met so many amazing people. It changed my life. But be careful, okay? And if you feel like something's off with the family, then don't do it. I mean, technically you have an LCC, which is a local child care consultant. So someone that you can call when something's up with your family. And mine was amazing. Like, mine was really cool. But keep in mind, the LCC doesn't get money from you. They get money from the family. So oftentimes the LCC will always side with the family because they get money from them. And if a family exits the program, then they get less money.